Who else have we got? Roger Heaps. Good morning, Roger. Right, chaps. Let me know what the audio and the visuals like, just while I get set up. Had a quick coffee with Mrs. Mechanic. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Here we go. Bring on the adverts. Who else have we got? That's it. Simon says, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Simon again. Roger, good morning, Andy and crew. Almost identical. Very impressive. Right, let me just skip this advert, see what's going on. Now, the weather here isn't too bad, so hopefully the internet should be okay. It doesn't look too bad on the laptop, which is good. The Giants, good evening, Andy and family from South Africa. 3 thumbs up. Good man. Now, what's been happening this week? It's been a busy week. It really has. Lots of visits to motorcycle shops. Based at home on an evening, which has been nice. Coming back home every night has been great. Bit of a problem with Marmite, actually, at the moment. She keeps escaping. She wants the friendship of other doggies at the moment, which is completely illegal in our household. And she actually escaped again last night. Let her out for a wheezies, and well, she did a runner. Mrs. Mechanic spent half an hour trying to find her in the village, and then she just turned up at the door. Very naughty puppy. She's not really a puppy, but we call her a puppy. But yeah, not happy at all. So we've got a problem there. She spent the whole of yesterday in the Nissan Patrol, the fun bus we call it, because she tried to escape again yesterday morning. So not good. Who else have we got? Mike Bazanski. Good morning, all. Good morning, Mike, and welcome back, sir, to the workshop. Sheldon. Morning, party people. Morning, Sheldon. Who else have we got? Pizza Builder. Hi from Pembrokeshire. Pembrokeshire. Yes, been there plenty of times. Pizza Builder. Sounds tasty. Jim K. Hello. Ooh, very basic there, Jim. Hello, Jim. And welcome, sir, back to the workshop. Simon, time to get Team Marmite a puppy. Yeah, I think actually it's well, there's a bit of behavioural change with Team Marmite at the moment, and I don't think she's taken too well to having the rabbit. To be honest, she feels that her attention has been diluted somewhat. So she's doing all sorts of weird, naughty stuff to try and get attention as well, and that might be one of the reasons why she's escaping. I don't know, but we'll see. George Bonnie 90. Hello, everyone. Thumbs up. Cheers, matey. Jim K. Covered in mud. Oh, you're covered in mud. Why are you covered in mud, Jim? Tell me. I'm interested. So, yes, lots and lots of motorcycle shop visits. And then on Thursday morning, did another motorcycle shop visit and then had to come home and pick up the 700cc footwell plates, the support kits that were finished. Mrs. Mechanic got them all packed and on the pallet a couple of days earlier. We got them shrink wrapped and only just managed to get them in the ute. I managed to do 54 on this batch. Didn't make any mistakes, so we had plenty of spares. And Trevor the tractor only just lifted it. It was a bit of a juggling act trying to get it in, trying to get just enough height on the lift, so a bit of a disadvantage. I mean, sure, I could have taken a few off, but we'd already shrink wrapped it. So, there I was trying to bounce the front of the tractor and gain a bit more height on the pallet. I was about half an inch short. It's always the case, isn't it? Got it in, and then it was a very wet, windy and rainy drive up to Auckland. Got there probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, I think it was. And then delivered them to HQ on the Friday morning and did a few other visits and collections and bits and pieces as well. And then basically it was straight back home. There really wasn't a lot, no reason for me to stay in Auckland. I had many phone calls though on the way down. And Vodafone, well done. Terrible service as always, constantly dropping calls whilst driving. Just not impressed at all. So if you're listening, Vodafone, pull your finger out. Jim K, inside a CVT, trying to see why it won't shift out. Is it? Okay, Jim, if it's an 850, check the secondary sheave. often the problem. Also check the belt for any kind of cracks that may indicate that the belt is trying to be stretched, i.e. the primary sheave is activating, but the secondary sheave won't, and that's causing the primary to basically hit a wall because of the belt tension. Don't ask me why I know, I just know. Roger Heaps, what's the pie this week? Good call, Roger, thank you for that. The pie is a bespoke pie. Hang on, bear with me. And it came from a little village. I've got to find the place. See if I can find you a picture. There we are, look. It's from a place called, it's just north of Matamata, Waiaroa, which is just there, look. And there's Matamata. It's a little place. I'll take a photo of the store, so bear with me. There we are, look. If you can see that account there, look, that is the dairy. And of course, it's got a motorcycle out the front. It has to have, hasn't it? Really? Chap was wondering why I was taking photos. It's called the Bakehouse Cafe and Grills. Not one grill, but grills plural. So obviously do lots of grilling there. Yeah, so not a bad spot. But what I would say is it's a very, very classic sort of traditional dairy that you'll find around the country. And this particular dairy, we're back. Apologies on behalf of Vodafone. We lost connection for a second there. Luckily, YouTube recovered things for us. So as I was saying, it's frequented by lots and lots of truck drivers. It's a very busy road. It's not State Highway 1. I think it's State Highway 27. It's sort of the alternative northern route, a bit like the A1 is in England to the M1. But lots and lots of trucks go on there, and a lot of them stop there to get their lunch because there's not really anywhere on the main road through Matamata to get a pie, so they all stop, just north. So the pie in question obviously is only available from that particular bakery. They make their own pies. To camera, Andy. There we go, look. It's quite greasy. See the grease stain on the bag? Now, I picked this up on Friday on my way down. Pretty organised, unlike me normally. There's the lid. Quick scan round. Dum, 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 dum. Oh, look. We've got massive lift, but it is only the puff pastry part. There is still the lid, the traditional pastry lid underneath, so we might be all right. I have a sneaky suspicion this is going to be a very messy pie to eat as regards lots and lots of pastry falling off. So we'll pop that in the pie warmer very, very shortly. Just finished my recap of the last week. So I got home Friday afternoon. It was actually quite late. It would have been about maybe 3:45, 4 o'clock, I think it was. Given the time that I left Auckland, it was quite a long journey. I had to keep, as soon as I got into the habit of, as soon as I get a call, I try and pull over at the side of the road where I know there's signal so I can finish the call. There's nothing worse than constantly dropping out on calls when you're trying to give some diagnostic advice over the phone. It's a real pain. So it's just easy just to pull up, but it does extend your journey times quite considerably. So Saturday, yesterday, very interesting day yesterday. First job was to unload the ute. I picked up some more nuts and bolts and bits and pieces from Jared, from Forge. So they've all gone into stock there for the new deck, amongst other bits and pieces. Some of it's for stock, And then second job. What did I do second job? I did something else second job. I fixed something. Oh, that's right. No, I didn't fix anything. I set up the plasma cutter and I had to play around with that. So I'm going to show you some of the initial cuts that I did with it and the sort of conclusion that I've come to at this point in time regarding the use of the new plasma cutter. Very impressed, by the way. I think it's an excellent piece of kit. And then in the afternoon, I was in sort of two minds, really. I wasn't too sure what to do. I was a bit of a loose end, but I felt creative. I wanted to make something for myself, or at least something which I found rewarding and was a bit different. And if you remember last live stream, last weekend, I think I showed you this. This is one of those handles for a new pillar drill to raise the deck, the actual, the flat surface that you drill on, the cutting surface, I suppose, up and down to change the height. And Alan, when he moved house, the house movers dropped the pillar drill. It fell over on its side. and of course it broke off the cast handle. You can see there, look, it just snapped it clean off. I also think it is slightly bent because obviously the handle part here should be parallel to the hole here, which goes on the shaft. Otherwise, when you turn it, it all sort of wobbles around a bit. It's not very nice. So if I sort of reconstruct this for you and try and hold that up, I don't know how much you can see on that, but that's sort of how it sits. And you can see that it's been stressed back and then it's broken, but it has actually maintained some of that bend. So I think welding it up was a dumb idea. It's cheap, really cheap, nasty cast. Probably wouldn't last very long. And it's not the kind of job that I like to do. Plus, of course, the handle isn't a swivel handle. It's fixed. It's just part of the casting. So, of course, it creates friction on your hand and it's not particularly nice to use. So I had a rummage around the workshop because Alan had asked me to obviously fix it. And I said, look, I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to make you a new one. And he's like, really? You're going to make one? And almost like it was like, you know, putting the first man on the moon. It was like, yes, I can make one of those. It's not difficult. So I had a rake around and I found, I needed to sort of find the components to make this thing up. And first of all, I found some phosphor bronze. So I made a little handle. There we are. Look, you see, there's the handle, and it swivels around. It's got an 11mm hole bored or drilled down the middle of it, and it's retained by a slightly machined down M8 stainless countersink, which is quite nice. Works really well. And on this end here that was machined out of part of an old stub axle that came off a trailer. And the actual shaft itself that runs down the middle started life as one of the bolts off the RAV4, one of the engine mounts. I think it was all subframe mount bolts. It's M12 fine metric, and so basically this already had an M12 fine metric thread in it, hence why I used that bolt. So I wound that in and then cut the head off, and then promptly drilled it out and tapped it M8 down the end, and that obviously facilitates the retaining bolt. At the other end, there was some threads protruding, so I found another nut. Actually, it was a nut with a shoulder on it. I've forgotten the name of those now. Flange nut, there you go. And then I decided to make the other end. Here, look, without giving too much away at the moment. And this was another piece of stub axle, which was already that length. I just tidied it up, put some chamfers on it, and drilled a 6.8mm hole to tap M8 in there. This is only a temporary bolt. I'm going to get an M8 grub screw for in there to tidy it, just to finish the job nicely. And obviously drilled out the center to 12mm, which is that size. So I know it's going to fit his shaft just fine. And then I was looking around thinking, well, what am I going to use to join these two components? And originally I was going to use a bit of flat plate. And I thought, nah, it looks a bit naff, a bit of flat plate. And then I thought, bit of round bar maybe. Have I got any round bar big enough? And all I had was 10mm stainless, which I thought was a little bit on the weedy side. And then I started thinking, what if I have an old spanner kicking around? And I found, in fact, I'll show you. I'll take you across. I'll turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. I had a rummage around in my old spanners drawer. Now, this isn't the old spanners drawer because that's in the other shed. Couldn't get to it. So these are the ones that I use, as sort of secondary spanners when I need two of something normally. And what did I find? I found, where did they go? There, look. I found some nice snap-on dumpy spanners. Now, these are very expensive. And I don't have the full set anymore because these are from England and I think one or two of them won't walk about. But the bolt head the nut head is a 17. So, okay, well, we'll use this. We'll give them a nice snap-on spanner. And then at that point in time, Mrs. Mechanic came into the workshop. In fact, I'll keep the story going while I put the pie in the oven. Here we go. Bum, 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 bum. In the oven, get the pie cooking. There we go, look. Boom. Done. Right, pie's cooking. So, she said, you can't use a snap-on spanner. Those are from England. You can't do that. These are yours. They're your tools. Why would you want to use a snap-on spanner? And I tried to explain to her, but she wouldn't have any of it. And she sort of convinced me and said, hang on a minute, don't you have the same in Teng tools? And I said, well, I think I do. I think I bought a set. Wherever the set's gone. There we are, look. So yes, I bought a set of dumpies in Teng. So I thought, right, I'll use the 18 because it's going to get welded anyway. It doesn't really make any difference. So I put the snap-on one in here and basically used a Teng Tools one. And I can order a Teng Tools one on the cheap, so I can replace that should I desire to. But yeah, we solved that problem. Thank you, Mrs. Mechanic. You saved the day and stopped me using a snap-on spanner. So there you go. This is the finished item. I think it came out pretty well. It looks like it's got a really long handle because that's just the camera angle. We'll do that look, you see. There we are. So you've got all your lettering on the side, and we've got the Teng Tools logo, which I thought was pretty cool. It is still waiting for a coat of lacquer, and it's waiting for that grub screw to go in. But other than that, it is finished, and I'm very, very happy with it. It's got slightly bigger throw than the original. If I line that one up, it's about 20 mil longer on the throw, but that was dictated by the spanner itself. And I quite like the idea of leaving the spanner slightly off on there, so you get a bit of an air gap rather than, you know, otherwise I'd been tempted to weld it all the way around, and there really is no need. It's not going to have that much force on it. So there you go. Andy was creative, and it spins. It's such a nice fit, is that? It spins really well. There's no play. I got that absolutely bang on. And I'll tell you a little trick of what I did to do that. So, when I first drilled it out, it was a little bit tight. And I wanted it to be really smooth and nice, because that's where the quality comes in, isn't it, you know? Let me hear that up. You hear that? There you go. So it's beautiful. And there's only a fraction of play longitudinally along there. Thrust play there, look, tiny amount, probably about 0.1 or 0.2 of a mil. I could measure it with a DTI, but I'm not going to bother. Very, very small, but there's absolutely no movement if you try and twist it like that. It's really, really nice. And what I did to get it absolutely bang on is I used some valve grinding paste, popped it down there, just rubbed it around for 2 or 3 minutes, and that just freed it off really, really well. So very happy with that, and I'm sure Alan will be too. I'm going to post it up to him. Mrs. Mechanic's going to make him like a little presentation box, because she's a crafty person. Something out of cardboard, no doubt. And we'll send it up to work, and he can open it at work. He has no idea I've made it for him. He probably thinks it's one of those things that's on the back burner for months and months and months. And he'll be able to open it at work, and he'll be a little bit shocked, I'm sure. Anyway, so that's that. So that's what I did yesterday afternoon. Didn't get finished about 7 o'clock, but I actually really enjoyed making this. And I'm actually also very jealous now, because it's cool. I think it's pretty cool. And it's a lot better than what's on my pillar drum. Things we do, eh? Anyway, I should have put that in the thumbnail, actually, but that'd have given the whole game away, wouldn't it? So, let's have a little good scroll back. So, Roger, you asked, what's the pie this week? Well, oh my word, my internet has gone terrible at the moment. What's going on there? I'm just going to refresh that, see if that fixes it. Oh, the advert's good. That's a bad sign, isn't it? Skip the ads. Is it going to come back? Oh, there we are. It's a lot better. Right. Scrolling up again. So, Roger, the pie is a steak and cheese that I picked up. Connor K, good morning, Andy and crew. Have you been working on the Trump? No, not yet, but I have got a day planned in the next 7 days, not giving too much away, where I will be working on the Triumph and doing a video. I will, because I want the video. I can then edit it while I'm away on the road. There we are. That's better. Look, far better image of the bike in the background. So my plan is to do that. Hopefully things will pan out the way I want them to. They usually do. I'm usually pretty good. Jim K, I'm thinking mud might be the issue. There is a definite mark on the primary sheath locates. Right. Okay. Well, so it's worn a groove in the 2 pulleys, right? At a certain point. That's probably worn because that's probably a secondary issue. The primary issue is it hasn't been moving. That groove wouldn't stop the belt riding up when the primary actuates. If the primary is full of mud, where the grease goes and the rollers, then sure enough, of course, that's going to stop it. So pull the primary apart, check the rollers, not too big of flats on them, and make sure there's no, sometimes when they wear, but normally a higher case, but it does happen when you get dirt ingress, you get, rather than a nice smooth ramp in the casting of the primary sheave, you get like a secondary ramp about halfway along, and that does prevent them from attaining full ratio, and it'll need a new sheave for that. But definitely check the secondary sheave. You'll thank me later. The Giant, Andy, are you freezing? No, it's not over cold. It's pretty wet. It's been really wet down here for the last 2 or 3 weeks, to be honest. Obviously, because of all the rain, have to keep putting off doing the finishing the roof, the timber work for the new deck. I really want to get that done because I need to measure up the corrugated iron for the roof, the lengths of the iron, because they make them to length for you. And I need to get that right. I don't just want to guess it. And I want to get that ordered so that I can pick it up when I get back from the South Island. It's very complicated, but logistics, it's the way it is. Vijay, the live stream is not clear. I think it's got better. It was really bad, but there's not a lot I can do about it. We seem to be having more and more of an issue at the moment with internet quality. If you could let me know what it's like at your end now, I think it's improved again. So maybe a bird flew in front of the tower or something like that. Stupid internet. Simon was in the wild bean here in the UK yesterday morning. They do a bacon and cheese turnover as a breakfast item. Very nice indeed. Yes, that would be phenomenal. I would actually quite like one of those, but I can't have one because they don't sell them here. Maybe they'll come to New Zealand. I don't know, but the bacon here is a bit different to the UK. You can get the UK style bacon, but most of it is not like it is in England. So be very careful what you buy. JJ, good morning. Andy and crew, good morning. JJ. All right, JJ, time for a cigarette, I think, and then we'll carry on. Mike Adams, hey all, sorry I'm late. Mike, you do not need to apologize. The fact is you're here, and that's all that matters. Listening in while finishing lawnmower repair from last weekend. I'm putting a push button starter on it. If in doubt, do it different. I had a similar case, very similar case actually, on a quad bike. I'm not going to advise what brand or even the engine size on this one, just a quad bike. And it had a carburetor, not fuel injected, but it had a lot more than a CD. It did have, really, you'd call it an ECU, electronic control unit. It had one, and the bike wouldn't start. It wouldn't crank. It was a turn the ignition on, press the fire button, nothing happened. Starter relay didn't even click. And the tech had gone through it, and obviously this is a phone call from outside. It was an Andy mechanic phone call for help. And sure enough, the ECU puts out the 12-volt positive to one side of the trigger circuit, the starter relay, and the other side of the trigger circuit then pootles off and goes to the start button, which then goes down to ground to complete the circuit. And when you press the fire button, the 12 volts disappeared. It was really almost like a ghost 12 volts. It couldn't carry any kind of current whatsoever. So, check wiring first. Wire integrity was all fine. There was no issue with that. Did a load test, on all the various wires that made up that circuit, and did lots of bypasses, bypassed the starter switch, bypassed the actual winding in the starter solenoid, no difference whatsoever. Put direct 12 volts onto the input of the trigger circuit, everything worked perfectly. So, realistically, ECU fault. Made the call, your ECU is faulty. And then I asked the tech, because it was an old bike, I said, what are you going to tell the customer? And he said, well, you need a new ECU. I said, yeah, but this is a 7 or 8 year old bike. ECUs are pretty expensive. Why not just disconnect the wire to the ECU and put it on as an ignition live, plumb into the ignition side of it, the ignition key live. And he says, oh, will that work? I said, yes, that'll work just fine. Maybe, maybe the bike's set up so you can't start it in gear without pulling in brake lever, for example. All of that will go to the side. It won't work anymore. You need to explain it fully to the customer. Give them two options. We can fix it this way with a new ECU, or we can do it this way, but you'll be able to start it in gear. CVT drive, so it wasn't a major problem being able to start it in gear. You're not going to go anywhere unless you press the throttle, right? So he was absolutely amazed that we'd come up with another way of fixing the bike without spending a ton of money. And it reminded me of that lawnmower. It did. Oh my word, this picture quality is terrible. Like it was back then. Just check. I'm just zooming forwards. Golly. Okay. I'm going to refresh again. Jeez. Now then, scrolling down, get rid of the adverts. I don't want to see an advert like that. That's ridiculous. Scrolling back. Right. Mike's Automotive Diagnostics. Good morning, Andy. Just getting on here. Why is, honestly, is the image really that bad at your end? I need to know because it's atrocious at this end. I don't know what's going on. I mean, the router is just there and we have 4G, so why is it so bad? It's just ridiculous. I wonder if I can't close it down. I daren't. Now then. So good morning, Mike. Welcome back, sir. Craig Gillespie. Gillis Pie, in fact. Gillies Pie. Craig Gillies Pie. Great name, mate. Great name. Hi, Andy. Hope you're well. From Craig in Cornwall. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, Craig. Bit tired, but, I'm always knackered, to be honest. I sort of live in a really weird world at the moment. Simon, you never made something for Alan in less than a year long. Oh, picture and sound is fine. Oh, but picture very poor, but sound is fine. Oh, no. Sorry, chaps. I really don't know what's going on. I don't. I mean, it's a good phone. It's good internet. It's ridiculous. All I can think is it's latched on to... I don't think I can even go out of that screen without messing up the live stream. So we're just going to have to suck it up, unfortunately. I just wonder if the phone has latched onto the home Wi-Fi rather than using its own data. I'll have to check after the live stream, but I don't think it has. Now then, Connor K. Damn it, nice fabrication job on that pillar drill crank handle. Those kind of jobs are very satisfying. I was very satisfied last night, actually. I'm really pleased with the way it came out. If I'd had Ben's TIG and I'd done a bit of practice, I could probably have TIGged it and it would have been a bit tidier welding, but as it is, it's good enough for me. It works. That picture's atrocious. I don't know what's going on, chaps. I really don't. Mike Adams, by the way, the compressor cabinet is looking good. Super strong, really strong cabinet. I've made it so I can put pallets of stuff on top. It's all about trying to make use of the space that I've got available. And often I have a pallet that, putting stuff on pallets is really easy now because I can move them around with the tread of the tractor. So it's good to put stuff on pallets because then I can just take it off. I can clear the whole shelf in one foul swoop. So if I'm stripping down an ROV, I've now got a really good sort of huge sort of shelf area to put all the seats and panels and bits and pieces. So very, very happy with that. Lucido Alcon, morning Andy from cloudy Dunedin. Yes, it's been pretty crap weather down there, hasn't it? Not good at all. Mike's good for off-roading though. Mike's Automotive Diagnostics, we need more scope use on troubleshooting videos. I know you do. I know you do. That will come with time. I do use my scope. I wouldn't say regularly. Maybe only use it maybe a couple of times a month. But most of the time, I'm using it on machines that I can't show on the channel. And don't forget, there's a stack of videos already on the channel, but hidden on that particular brand, which I can't. Oh, pardon me. Which I can't release yet. Maybe one day in the future. Well, one day in the future, guaranteed. Those videos will get released. I took a quick look at those videos the other day. Actually, there's a lot of them, nearly 100 of them, and quite a few are using the scope. So you have to just hang in there. There's nothing I can do. I cannot release them before, unfortunately. Connor K, the video quality is pretty bad when you walked over to the pie woman, but came back when you went to the back to the bench. It's yeah. I don't know what's going on. If it was logged onto the house Wi-Fi, then it should get better as I go back towards the pie woman because that's towards the house. So I think it's just crap internet, in all honesty. I don't think opening the door is going to help. Really, we could try. Just stay there. I'm just going to open the side door and see if that allows some internet to flow in. There we go. See if it gets any better. I don't know. It's just pants. It really is. I'm going to have to do something about it. Simon, big potato vision. Yes. Bit potato vision. Yes, that's right. But audio is good. Good. Okay, I'll try and make the audio really, really good for you. Done the same job last week on a quad. Ended up just overlaying a wire to the start switch. Yeah, this wasn't a wiring issue. Believe it or not. Normally it is, but it wasn't. Don't know what had caused the ECU to fail, but it had failed. There's no doubt about it. Tex, Sheldon, sorry. Tex never hot-wired anything then. I used to hotwire lots of our Jeeps, I tell you. Especially when I used to go and pick them up, when I used to buy them. You know, often the owners either lost the keys or the ignition barrel was all chewed up or whatever, you know. So hot wiring stuff is a second instinct to me. Mike's Automotive Diagnostics. It's pretty bad. Yeah, sorry, Mike. There's not a lot I can do about it, unfortunately. JJ, image is bad in Auckland. I think it's the image going out on the phone because it's not too bad at the moment. It's sort of tolerable, but previously it was atrocious. So thank you for hanging in there, people. I really do need to sort it. It didn't used to be this bad. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe a new phone might fix it. Maybe I'll just order myself a new phone and we'll go from there. A live streamed phone. JJ, image is bad in Auckland. Pizza Builder, picture is very poor, but the sound is fine. Okay, thank you for that, people. The Giants, picture is bad here as well. Sound is perfect. Honestly, it's just live TV. It's just terrible, isn't it? You're relying on so many other factors, and you know it is raining a little bit now as well, so that's not so good. Mike, it's like watching porn on hotel Wi-Fi. I could probably get banned for that. I'm surprised that didn't hold that for review, actually. I'm surprised. Mike Adams, the video is crystal clear. Oh, your video is crystal clear on my end now. Interesting. Very interesting. Mike Adams, I've seen a screw-type air compressor for the first time on my job. If a man can afford them, they are much quieter and, from what I'm told, more reliable. They are phenomenal, but I just can't seem to get one that's single phase, and we don't have 3-phase here. So, and the big bucks, they're a lot of money. Maybe one day I might get one if we get 3-phase put in, but that's a long way down the line. And who knows, I might be living in the South Island by then. Hey Sheldon, who knows? And then, and then I'll be getting called up. Can you come and look at this one for us? I can see it happening. Jim K. Here for the conversation, not the looks. Funny guy. Just you wait till our next phone call. So, plasma cutter. Let's take a look at... well, I was sort of just playing around with it yesterday, just to get a feel for how it worked, to see what the cuts were like. And I made a template so I could do the plates, the next batch of 700 plates. Still a bit on the fence about it. See what you think. Here we go. And I'm going to go slowly so we don't mess the internet up. Boom. There we go. Oh, look. This is some of the stuff that I got the other week. You couldn't see because the workshop was full of bikes. I got 4 jacks. All the same. Brand new, never used. Redundant stock. Andy, do you want these? Yes, I'll have those. I'm sure I can find a use for those. 4 exactly the same and in full working order. Very impressed. This is the air compressor I got given. It's only a little tiny one. It's made by a company called ITM, down there, look. Trade Series air compressor. And it's missing one thing, not the cover. It's missing the switch. There you go, look on camera, Andy, be good. Missing, Brandon says it's missing the switch. So I've got to decide or work out what kind of switch it's missing, get that ordered, and then we're good to go. And the capacitor, just for checks, has got 2 wires and they're both connected, which is even better. But it's absolutely brand new, never used. I think it got damaged in transit, and it's only a small one, so it runs off a 10 amp supply, a normal size New Zealand plug. So I don't know, maybe I'll fix it up and I might give it to somebody, because I have enough compressors, you know. Maybe we'll do an auction. If you're in New Zealand, maybe you could win yourself an air compressor. Who knows? Right, what else did we get? I think that was about it, actually, around here. Okay, so over... Oh, there's Trevor. How's the internet looking? It's still a bit grainy. If I do it over here, because we've got the door open, that might help. Right, so that is, for those that have worked with us last week, this is the plasma cutter. It's made by Sigweld. And it's a cut skill 45. It's a good one, really good one. Very impressed with it indeed. It's got a 5-meter lance on it, which is incredible, and very easy to set up. I can't plug it in. I've put my own 16 amp. It came with a New Zealand 15 amp plug on it, so I changed it to a 16 amp plug because that's the kind of stuff that we use in the workshop, and yeah, much more substantial. Other than that, it's exactly as it came. So these are, let's see if I can set you up. Hang on, bear with me. It's going to drop you down a bit. It'll be interesting to see if the picture quality improves as well, because we're right by the door now. So where do we start? Well, this will have been the first cut, which wasn't too bad actually. We've got a bit of I forgot what they call it now. Anyway, a bit of scale sort of build up along the bottom. This is the bottom side of the cut. That's the top side of the cut, and I did use a straight edge. But what I noticed is I was getting a bit of a chamfer. You can see it's not a nice square 90-degree cut. So obviously my torch angle was a bit out. And then as I was progressing, I started to get more and more build up on the underside. And I was getting a bit concerned that that's a big problem. That's a lot of cleanup to do. But I read the manual. This is actually a really good piece, because if you look on this side, there's a lot less build up to this side. And it depends on which direction you take the torch. Most bizarre, but it does. I read the manual and it says that the scale buildup is more likely to be on the piece if you're cutting towards you, be on your right. That's right. So as you cut towards you, the buildup is on the right hand side piece. And of course, initially that was the piece I wanted to keep, not the bit I wanted to cut off. So I turned everything around and stood in a different position, obviously, and that made a big difference. So I had to play around. I was, you know, doing all sorts of weird little cuts and stuff, and the scale was really high, and it was telling me about 27 amps should be what I need for a 6mm plate. That was from the internet, but this is unacceptable. This is way too much build-up. There's no way I could cope with that. It wouldn't be a viable proposition. Anyway, so I did lots of cuts. I even did a bit of freehand work and stuff. And when I was doing that, I noticed that it wasn't doing a full separation. I thought, right, I'm going to crank up the amps. So I did. And then I went to 35 amps. Not that much of an increase, but you can see there's hardly any buildup of scale at all. Really, really tidy. And that is acceptable, because a lot of this will just knock off with a hammer. You don't have to grind it off. And obviously, you know, just a flat disc would take it off as well. So not too bad. Still a little bit iffy on the actual 90 degrees. So that's all down to me. It's just getting used to holding the torch and getting the angle right. But I'll get there. So that was a bonus. The problem is, I think the power supply to the workshop is not enough. And that's why we're not getting the performance that we should do. So this is going to have to go on hold until the electrician sorts out the power supply. You can see we're getting all sorts of nasty build-up. Look, pretty horrendous, isn't it? But it was super quick, really quick. There's another piece there. Look, you see the build-up on that, horrendous. But it was pretty quick. I think you should cut about 1 foot per minute is the approximate speed that you should go at. But, you know, it's good to practice. And then once I've got everything refined and sorted out, then I can do those plates proper. That's the plan. Right, back to the bench. Boom, 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 boom. I did hear the pie go ping, so hopefully, let's bring you back up again and turn you around. Boom. Hopefully, oh, look at that. We'll leave the door open. That works. Let's get you squared up again. We've got 31 viewers. That's phenomenal. Excellent stuff. 33 now. Right, so where do we get to? Stephen Salter. Hi, Andy from Aberdeenshire. Been there. I'm currently building a home motorcycle stroke quad workshop in my garage. What piece of equipment would you say is the most Gucci piece of kit? Do you mean by Gucci as in not really necessary but nice to have? Well, first of all, you need a hoist. There's no way you want to be working on the ground all the time. You need to get yourself a motorcycle hoist, and one that has the additional bars on it, so or deck extension bits where you can put an ATV on there. You have to get a hoist. Now you can get air hoists. They're a bit bouncy. They're not that controllable, but they're reasonably cheap, about 3,000 New Zealand dollars. You can go for the really cheap hydraulic only that you pump up with your foot. They seem to work pretty well. They're quite reliable, and you can usually get those for under 1,000 New Zealand dollars. They're normally not particularly well made. I would say that most of them come out of China, or maybe a bit further down the line. You know, once you've sort of earned some money doing it, and your pot's a bit bigger, you could go for an electric over hydraulic. They are brilliant. They're really, really nice. And you have full control of height. You can adjust the height basically in millimeters, and it doesn't bounce at all. So it's a lot more stable if you've got a bike on there that's maybe not particularly well strapped down. You don't get the bike moving around quite so much. I'd like to have one of those. I haven't really justified it yet. I did think about getting one about a year ago, but then I'd have two hoists, and I don't really have room for two hoists, and I don't really need two hoists. And the one I've got works. It does the job. And I use the hoist that I have that the Triumph's on. There, look, that one. I use that for all sorts of stuff. I use it as another workbench. I mean, yesterday I was doing the plasma cutting on that because it was a nice height. So, you know, if I'd had an electric over hydraulic hoist, I probably wouldn't have wanted to use the plasma cutter on it, for example. So, you know, it does the job. It's good. And it was cheap. I only paid $700 for that. Second hand. It's very cheap. It was a bad debt. Say no more. Simon, Stephen. So hopefully that answers your question. If you've already got a hoist, then tell me and we'll maybe come up with something else. Now then, Simon Roll, treat myself to a new tool to induction heater, beats the torch. Yes, they're actually very cool. I haven't got one of those. It's on the list. One day I'll get one. Very good. The picture's not too bad at the moment, so maybe some more internet's flowed in through the door. I have no idea. Simon, the bros from the plasma cutter will just snap off with pliers. Yeah, you can. I just tapped it with a hammer, and most of it just fell off, so it wasn't too bad. However, I have another option, and I've been toying with it. And yes, I've got a plasma cutter, and that's great. I wanted one for a long time, so I'm very happy with that. And it's still, if I can get it dialed in and get the power supply sorted out in time, that will be the go. However, the piece that I need, in fact, I'll just get my template. Hang on, bear with me. Just hang on, bear with me. We'll get there. Now, this is one of the plates from the batch we just finished, and that is the piece we need to cut out. On the first batch that they did incorrectly, and this was just straight across. They didn't include that. They used the original drawings rather than the final drawings, and they made the mistake. It wasn't me. So yesterday, as part of my playing around with the plasma cutter, I made a template out of another plate, one that I'd messed up, where basically it was 10.88 millimeters is the distance from the edge of the torch to the cut of the plasma. beam, whatever you want to call it. So now I can use that as a template. Really, really good. Now, it is possible, and I know it's a bit more work, but there would be very little cleanup required. So I've got to, I have to look at the amount of time involved in doing the job. That's what it's all about, because time is the most valuable resource to me. I don't want to spend too long doing it. So if I plasma cut it, we've then got to clean it up with a flap disc, blah, 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 you know. However, if I make another template and do a drilling here, and a drilling, just imagine this is a solid piece. You do a drilling for this radius here, probably a 10 mil hole, and the same here on this one. Then I can use a slip disc and I can actually do a plunge cut for the middle piece, and I can come in from the sides and cut that piece out. And that would take me with a slip disc probably about 2 minutes per plate to do. The cuts are really, really clean, and the cleanup will be absolutely minimal. So that's plan B. I can always do it with a slip disc, although it's a bit of yeah, it's a bit of work. There's 100 plates to do, but it's very clean. And Mrs. Mechanic is great at cleaning up, so she could do that side of it while I do the cuts, and we can share the drilling. I can do the pilot holes, she can do the final holes, or vice versa, you know. So we have got a plan B. It's not going to happen until I get back from the South Island, which isn't a problem. It'll just happen when it happens. But it would be nice to use the plasma cutter, but it would require a lot more cleanup. So, and I don't like stuff going out with rough cuts, you know. It's got to be tidy. It's got to be super tidy. Now then, where do we get to? Connor, video quality dropped when you were showing the jacks and the air compressor. It's better near the door. Video quality only matters if tool girls are present. We will deal with it. It seems to be okay at the moment. What I can see on the screen now is pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. The Giant, what is the plate for? Sorry, the stupid question. Okay. So the Giant, there are some ATVs out there which the footwells are made of quite a brittle plastic at the moment. And that, combined with the fact that when you get on and off the bike, you're putting all your weight on one footwell, the steel work, the standard steel work that supports the footwell gives a bit. Now, on a flexible footwell, that wouldn't be a problem, but on a brittle footwell, it causes the footwell to start to crack, and over time it then breaks up and big chunks of it fall off, which is bad because it leaves sharp edges. It's dangerous. Your foot can go through the footwell, that kind of stuff. These plates, one plate is for one side of the bike. There's another plate for the other side. They're identical plates, same fitting kit, both sides. They bolt to the frame and they provide additional support to the footwell to stop it from flexing. And it makes a massive difference. Without the kit fitted, you get about 25 millimeters, about an inch of droop on the brackets. With the kit fitted, you're down to about 2 to 3 millimeters. So huge reduction in sort of sag of the footwell. So I've rolled out these kits to quite a few quad bikes over the years, in the recent year, to be fair. Only in the last 12 months we've been doing these, and had no repeat failures other than accident damage, which you can't avoid. You know, if you hit a gate post, that's not the same reason for failure as getting on and off the bike, is it? So with the bike being used as it's intended, i.e. not crashed, then they are a complete success. And there's two different style kits, one for a 450cc quad bike and these ones for a 700cc quad bike, and they both work really well. The 700cc kits are quicker to fit than the 450 ones, but they both do exactly the same job. Sheldon, for Giant, they're quad foot reinforcement plates. They are, and I'm very pleased with them. It was a very difficult design brief, especially on the 450 one. It took me about 3 days to work out how to do it, and to do it in a way that was easy to fabricate up and mass produce. And there's so much to think about when you've got all that built into the design brief as well, you know. And I wasn't allowed to make any modifications whatsoever to the frame of the ATV, right? So that was another very important part of the brief. Simon, shame it's not smaller parts. Tumbling in the mixer maybe may get the bros off. Good call. There's no way that they would fit in the mixer, to be honest. You are quite right, Simon. And to be honest, on the 700 batch, not only did we tumble in the mixer all the small components, I also went back. If you think right back to the start when I attempted to do a paint dip process rather than actually spray painting the small parts, and we looked at the quality of the two, of a sprayed piece and a dipped piece, and it was quite clear that spraying was a far better finish. We went back to dip. I just mixed up some used quite a lot of thinners, high ratio of thinners to paint. Had a bit of a practice run on a few pieces on different ratios of thinners, and we got it sussed. Sure enough, yes, there is sometimes maybe 1 in 5 pieces has a bit of a excessive paint blob on it, but much faster. No noise, doesn't annoy the neighbors, and it worked to treat, and they get a much thicker layer of paint on them, so that was really good. I just saw powder coating there. Can't do powder coating here. If I was to contract it out, it would cost quite a bit, and therefore you're giving away your profit, so that wasn't going to be an option. I have considered outsourcing some of the work, and basically what we can do is good enough. It works really well, and that dip process I was very pleased with, and it probably took us maybe half the time to paint the parts. So the parts were tumbled in the cement mixer, believe it or not, with some garnet, so there was no labor time whatsoever really with that. Didn't have to go through the shop blasting cabinet. They can be tumbling away whilst you're on with something else, and then the painting process for those small parts now to dip them is about half the time. So we're constantly refining and improving the fabrication or the production process, and I think we've got it pretty well fine-tuned now, to be honest. It's working pretty well. Just need to improve the sandblasting cabinet's performance more, because it does, especially with the 700 plates, it takes quite a while to sandblast those. Vijayant, your picture is perfect. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased it's come back. Stephen, do the plates fit a 450 Grizzly? I have no idea. I could not confirm or deny that. That would be very unprofessional to comment. Vijayant, what about powder coating? Covered that one. Mike Adams, the push button worked. Fires up and runs like a Singer sewing machine. Almost want to mark it on my calendar because my plan actually went right. Doesn't happen often. Well, at least, Mike, it's fixed. That's the important thing. You've come up with a solution. It's going to be reliable. It's going to work. It's all that matters, basically. Mike's Automotive Diagnostics. Do you prime before dipping? No, the paint, it's a very expensive paint. Not as expensive as some paints, though, but it's designed for spraying containers, and it has a built-in etching primer. So once we've sandblasted or tumbled the parts, and again, I've done tests on this, the paint adheres incredibly well. You can't scratch it off. Before we sandblasted the parts or tumbled them, we did do on the very first batch, we were just painting on top of the smooth finish, I think you'll have to watch some of the previous live streams of this, but these plates are extremely smooth with the scale on there, and it's extremely hard scaling. Trying to get it off with a flat disc is just almost impossible. It's a very time-consuming job. You can see there I've just cleaned up some of the burrs around these holes after countersinking them, and it's pretty resilient stuff. That's why it takes so long in the sandblasting cabinet. It takes about 5 minutes per plate. Sometimes 10, depending on how well it's performing, to actually sandblast both sides of that plate to a good standard. But once it's done, the paint it adheres brilliantly. Very happy with that. Vijayant, what cutting oil do you use for your drilling and tapping thread? Bear with me. I won't move the camera because we know that the picture's going to crap out. So let me go and get it. Here we go. Right, this stuff is from Forge. Morning, Jared. This is not a product plug. It's just stuff that I use that I find incredibly good. And I used some yesterday when I was making, while the picture's good, there, look at that. It's nice. I know the welding's not brilliant because it's a MIG, and it's me, and I was tired, but anyway, it's all good. And, but listen to that. Oh, it's nice. And it's got some of the Black Magic graphite spray in there for lubrication as well. You can just see it oozing out a little bit on my finger there, look. That'll settle down. But no, I honestly, I really like this. So yes, I used this. It's called, it doesn't have a number. Most Forge products have a number. This hasn't got it printed on. It's just called Drilling and Cutting Foam. And it's really, really good. And one can lasts for a very, very long time if you use it sparingly. I used it on the lathe when I was drilling the holes on the lathe. I used it when I was tapping the various threads. I mean, there's a thread on the shaft in there. There's another thread just there. Look, it's just great. It's really, really good. I like it a lot. It's not expensive, and you can see how long this can's lasted by the wear marks from my thumb picking it up and using it. Like that. So it lasts, one can literally lasts me months. Thousands and thousands and thousands of hole cuts later and thread cuts and stuff. I mean, on the 700 kits, there's a small plate that has 2 M8 threads in it. There was 214 of those plates to do, so that's 436 threads to cut. And I mean, the cans there was still loads left in the can. I mean, this is can number 2. I've got 2 more in stock now, but this is only can number 2, and we've done all that fabrication work and other stuff. It's just incredible how long it lasts. I can't emphasize. Even if the can costs $30, it's still really good value for money. I had no idea what they cost, to be honest. Mike Adams, you could do like Henry Ford on your assembly process. Just hire some lazy people to set it up, then fire them and get good workers when it's up and running to speed it up. It's all done by me and Mrs. Mechanic, and Ben. Ben comes down now and again and helps out. Simon, can you not acid etch the plates in a plastic drum to save time sandblasting? We've covered this before, Simon. Probably could. I just don't really want lots of acid kicking around the workshop, and I think we would need quite a bit to do it. We've got Team Marmite around. Mrs. Mechanic might hurt herself with the acid. It's a possibility. I haven't completely ruled it out. Haven't really got anywhere, maybe apart from under the carport, maybe to store the drums of acid. Might even need a permit for that kind of stuff. It's nasty gear. So not really explored the full avenues, to be honest. But it's really tough stuff, is that mill scale. It really is. Mike Adams, I use 3-in-1 oil. Used to do that. That's what I used to use back in the UK. Does the foam work better? I personally think it works really, really well. If you can get hold of a can, try it. It's good gear. It's really transformed. I mean, I used to use anything kicking around. I mean, back in the day, if I didn't have any 3-in-1 oil, I'd just go and get a bit of engine oil. But that's not really the answer, because engine oil's there its job is to keep metal components apart. It's not really there to cool for cutting purposes. It seemed to work okay. This is a lot better. A lot better. It's dedicated stuff and it's cheap. It doesn't cost. It costs bugger all, to be honest. Especially when you price it up per hole or per thread cut, it's insignificant, really. Can you use motor oil for drilling and cutting thread? You shouldn't, because motor oil is designed to create a film between the components. Whereas when you're cutting threads, you need metal-to-metal contact. So it's not really ideal. It sort of does work. In theory, it shouldn't work. But it's not the best way of doing it. If it's all you've got, it's better than nothing, that's for sure. Mike, I'm not sure if acid would work on mill scale. Yeah, we've got a time period it'll have to be dipped for. Of course, it's going to etch away everything. And secondly, the acid won't last forever. So then what do I do to dispose of the acid? Where do I take it? And then there's the transportation of it as well. You know, without spilling it could cause some serious damage to the ute if some of it got out. So there's a lot of things to think about with that. And I'm just not, it just doesn't sit well with me. You know, and normally my gut feeling is usually right. And my gut feeling is don't go down that route. Anyway, time for a pie. I'm going to leave the camera where it is. I'm going to get the pie because I don't want to lose the internet. I'm sure you understand. Back in a second. Bom, 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 bom. Pie time. It's been in the pie warmer a little bit longer than 2 minutes for standing, but anyway, here we go. So, as predicted, the puff pastry is now almost not past the pie whatsoever. I'm pretty sure I could probably lift that clean off. There we are, look. That's ridiculous. That's a pie catastrophe just waiting to happen, isn't it? Okay, now remember, this is a bespoke pie. It's produced by a bakery. Oh, where was it? I can't even remember the name of the place now. Hang on. Let me find it for you. It's called the Bakehouse Cafe and Grills, plural for some reason. And it's in a village just north of Matamata on the right-hand side if you're heading north. And it's called Wairoa. The village is called Wairoa. This was made on site. And so if you want one of these particular pies, just like this one, that's the only place in New Zealand you can go. What I will say is it does represent a very traditional bakery pie that you'll find around New Zealand. This is pretty much the standard kind of thing that they push out with massive amounts of puff pastry on top. Very different to the other pies that that are sort of mass produced across the country or distributed around the country. So, very weird doing a live stream with the door open. It is. Anyway, we're going to go in. I'm going to start at the lift to try and consume some of that puff pastry before it ends up on the floor. Very crunchy. Now, just looking underneath, which we didn't do before, we've already got a rupture about to happen. It's quite a weak base. Now, a lot of pies that are bought from, I'm just going to try and support that. A lot of pies that are bought from bakeries, you'll often find that people will eat them in the bag. So that should they decide to fall apart, at least the bag catches most of the meat and then they can just trough it out of the bag, you know? Pretty hot. Okay, I'm going to try and hold it more vertically to try and use the pie carcass as more of a pouch, given the fact that the base is starting to give up already. Now we've got some, I can't call it meat, it's more like gravy that's just sort of hanging in there. You can see if I just give it a little wobble, you can see it flapping around. Almost like gelatin. It's weird. It's that kind of gravy that sticks to the top of your mouth. You know, if you do Bisto gravy and do it too thicker mix, it sort of coats the inside of your mouth. A bit weird. Anyway, be very careful how I move my hands around with this one because it is potentially going to fall apart on us. So taste, stroke, flavour. I've had 2 bites so far. It's not bad. Quite a strong flavour from the gravy. Haven't really tasted too much meat just yet, to be honest. Right, there is a bit of meat. You can see it just up there, look. So it has got chunks of meat in it. That's good. So the taste, first impressions. It's all right. I'll give it a 6. I think 6 is okay. That might improve. I mean, this is only a starting point, don't forget. We always reserve the right to go back and modify the scores as the pie is consumed. Now, structure fall apartness, it's not looking good already. We've got potential failure about to happen on the base. All depends how quickly I can eat the pie. And we've got massive amounts of puff pastry going all over the workbench as we speak. Now, if you're outside eating the pie, it's not a problem. The dicky birds will get it. if you're in your car or in your truck, this is not a good pie. It's going to make a massive mess in your vehicle. And don't even think about trying to drive whilst eating this pie. You need both hands to hold it together. So, structure. What's it going to get? I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's pretty poor, to be honest. That might drop even more if the carcass of the pie fails. We're getting pretty close to that failure, so we might be able to save the day. Huge chunk of meat. That was really tasty. That was nice. So I'm going to up the taste flavour to 7. That was pretty good. Now, meat quality. Very good meat. Not, I wouldn't say it was premium steak by any means, but that was actually quite a tasty chunk of meat. And a really big, a really decent sized chunk. So, meat quality, I'm going to give it, at this point in time, based on that one big chunk of meat, I'm going to give it a 9. Now that's almost unheard of. And I can't imagine that quality is going to continue through the whole pie. Holy crap. Done. Oh man, look at me in the bench. Right, we're going in again. Oh, there's the inside look. So you get a good view. That's not cheese, that's a pastry flap on the top there, look. I don't really... Oh, there's a bit of cheese on the right hand, on that side there, look. So there is some cheese in there. Holy crap. Now, that was another even larger chunk of meat. However, it had some fatty sort of gristly stuff attached to it. That's bad. You don't want that in a pie. So I'm going to drop that down actually to a 7. Bit of a free fall on the marks, but it really highlights the, they haven't really cut the meat that well. Okay, so we've sort of stabilized the pie now. We've got past the potential point of failure underneath. Only through good pie management, may I say. But it's not bad. It's actually surprising me. And that's the thing with these sort of bespoke bakery pies where they make them on site. You never really know what you're going to get. Sometimes you'll get a really bad pie. Sometimes they can be really tasty. And the other problem is the quality isn't always the same every time you go either. This, and all we can do is base it on this particular pie, and it's not bad. I can't really knock it. Okay, so now what we need to do is a runnability test. Brace yourself, this might not go well. 45 degrees to a maximum of 30 seconds. I will abort the test if we start to get massive amounts of flow. I don't want it going all over the bench. I want to save me pie. Okay, so watch the camera. Here we go. We're going to start to tip in. Very concerned. In fact, hang on. Again, a bit gristly. Or a bit of fat stuck on the side of the meat. The meat itself was pretty good. Right, we're going in. I think it was a bit unfair to have that big chunk of meat hanging off there. Okay. It would have fallen, there's no doubt. And we will take that into account on the results. So 45 degrees, we've hit 45 degrees now. Look, there we go. 45 degrees. Is there any movement? There would have been. We know that there would have been. It was about to fall off as soon as I went from the horizontal, to be honest. Okay. Now we've got to bear in mind all the puff pastry that's fallen off as well. That's all part of this particular test, the mess that it makes. Based on how fluid the whole pie feels as well, I'm going to give it a 5. I think I'm being generous even at that, to be honest. Oh, first burp. But remember that. Now, pie to crust ratio. There's a lot of pastry. And we've got this massive flap at the top of this puff pastry, which is really just hanging in the wind. It's doing nothing. In actual fact, if there was a gust of wind, it would be gone, I'm sure, because it's just, look, it's just there. I don't want to take it off because that would spoil the pie, but It's not good at all, in all honesty. Pie to crust ratio. There's quite big build-ups of pastry on the side. Oh, look, you see it's going to drip again, look, isn't it? There we go. Save the day. Big areas of pastry around the edges of the pie. You can see it saggy in the middle as soon as I don't support it. But there is, saying that, there is quite a lot of stuff inside, given the size of the pie. So, pie to crust ratio, so that's the contents to the amount of pastry. You can even changing my voice, the amount of gravy that's sticking to the roof of my mouth. I'm going to give it, the base is really thin. I'm going to give it a 6. I think a 6 is fair on that one. Burp number 2, remember that one? Now, availability / logistics. This is only available. Oh, it really is repeating quite a bit. Only available from one bakery in New Zealand. They make their own pies. You've got to go there for it. Now, sure, if you live in Matamata, it's not a big trip. It's 5 minutes up the road. If, however, you live in Invercargill, first of all, you're not going to be able to get there because there's no roads left in the South Island because of all the rain, especially the northern part. But saying that, would you drive from Invercargill for this pie? You sure as hell wouldn't. So you couldn't have the pie. They're not going to post it to you. So this particular score has to be extremely low. It really has to be a 1. It's a single bakery in the country where you have to go if you want this pie. It's not available online. You've physically got to go there. So it gets a 1. Now, pastry taste rating. First of all, the puff pastry. I'm just going to try and get a bit... Oh, okay, the whole thing's fallen off. Right, here we go. Puff pastry. Tastes pretty good, actually. It's quite cold. It's cooled down quite. No weird aftertaste. That's good. I'm going to give that. In fact, let me just try a bit of carcass pastry as well. We don't want to base the whole thing on the puff pastry. It's actually all right. It's all right. It's actually not bad at all. I'm going to give them an 8 for that. That was all right, was that? Now, still tasty when cold. It's not cold yet, though it's getting there. It's cooling down pretty quick. Packaging design. Well, it's your standard issue, you know, dairy, bakery, standalone bakery kind of paper bag. There is no design. They just bought it in. It wouldn't bother them if it was white or brown or whatever colour. Yeah, it's just a bag. They get 1. No thought whatsoever about branding, about giving any kind of information on the pie that you're buying. It's just, there's a pie in a bag. That's it. Recyclable score. It's a paper bag. It's fully recyclable, but they don't tell us that it's recyclable, so they only get a 9. 9 out of 10 for that. Post pie heartburn. I've already had 2 burps, and it's definitely, there's a 3rd one on the way, so we'll hold that for a bit longer. Stuffability score. Don't know. Let's keep going. There's definitely, with this particular pie, there's like, so far there's been 3 really large chunks of meat. One of them has been really, really good. No fat or gristle on it. The other 2 have had a bit of fat stuck to the side of the meat. Other than that, so far, it's just been this sort of gloopy gravy stuff, which all it does is stick to your mouth, so that's the roof of your mouth, and change your voice, which is a bit weird. Again, just gravy. That's all it was. Pie server attractiveness. I would say she was, and it was a lady, I would say she was late 30s, early 40s, Asian, quite petite, not particularly welcoming though. Almost a bit on the grumpy side. Don't know what's going on there. So you've got to think about, did I feel welcome in that particular store? It was quite neutral, I think, really. There was no Hey, how are you? How's it going? Where are you heading? That kind of stuff. There was no banter whatsoever. It was a case of, could I take these 2 pies? Because I bought another one while I was there. And she just rang it through the till and looked at me. There was not even a smile. So I think that works against her, to be honest, because it's all about the atmosphere that the establishment creates. It's not just about their attractiveness, to be fair, as I'm sure Simon will explain to you. So if she'd been all happy and bubbly and welcoming and stuff, she'd have got a much higher score, despite, not being ageist, but, she's early 40s. I'm going to give her a 5. I think a 5. And she could potentially have got a 7, maybe even an 8 if she'd been a lot more extrovert, a bit more welcoming. Okay, let's keep going. Some more bites required. I wonder if we're going to find any more meat in this pie. Just gravy. Okay. Back to the questions. Comments, in fact. Mike. The Giants. Mike's, I'm not sure. The Giants. Yesterday, I had a chicken pre pie. It was delicious. Where did you get that from, the Giants? Interesting. I don't mind chicken pies. Mrs. Mechanic will only eat chicken pies. Roger, might have to do a bacon review when you're down. Roger, that's a perfect idea. We can do that. Ooh. A very small piece of meat is lurking just there, look. And you can even see the gristle on the meat. There, look. That's the meat. That's the gristle. Gristle's cheap. Oh, it was a bit bigger than I thought. Gristle. It has no place in a pie. Yeah, the rats can have that one. Okay, where do we get to? So I did it off camera. It wasn't that bad. George 190. Do people in New Zealand make their own pies at home, stroke homemade? I imagine some do. I don't think it's a particularly popular practice. Roger, do you make your own pies? You've not mentioned it yet. If you do, makes his own bacon sandwiches though. That's for sure. Mrs. Mechanic is going to have a go at making some pies. She's a very good cook, although she needs a new cooker. She needs to choose a new cooker. She still hasn't chosen one yet. When she chooses one, I'll go and get it for her. Because our current cooker, the oven is crap. It really is. Anyway, she's going to make some pies. I bought some pie trays and stuff the other day, so she'll give that a go. But no, I wouldn't say it was the norm. Pies are pretty cheap. These pies, it came to about just over $10. They're about $5 something each normally. Right, last piece. Mrs. Mechanic is saying the picture quality is crap. So what I'm going to do, rather than move the camera while we've got reasonably good internet, I'm going to take a photo of the bench. There we go. And I'm going to show you the photo. So this is the shrapnel that's all over my workbench at the moment from that particular pie. There's puff pastry all over the place. And don't forget, there was some gristle in the pie as well. More than one piece, which in my view is unacceptable. It's a steak and cheese pie, not a steak, fatty stroke gristle and cheese pie. So trade descriptions there. Should get them for that. So stuffability score. How do I feel? I feel pretty stuffed. I feel quite let down at the gristle in the pie. It sort of made me feel a bit weird. Am I hungry? I'm not hungry at all. Not now. It did the job. It did do the job. It could have been better. Overall, I'm going to give them a 6 or a 7. I feel that if I wasn't doing a review on the pie, that was another burp, by the way. If I wasn't doing a review on the pie, I was just eating it at the side of the road, as you do on many pies, you know, whilst on a road trip somewhere, I would have probably eaten it pretty quick. It was that kind of pie. I think the nature of the structure of the pie would render it where you've got to eat it quite quick, otherwise it's going to fall apart. Yeah, it did the job. I'm going to give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 6. It could be better, to be honest. It wasn't wholesome. It was just food, and there was a lot of gravy in there. It's a bit weird, actually, the taste. Still tasty when cold. Would I eat that pie cold? If I found it in the glove box the day after, maybe I had to jump in the car and drive straight away, never got around to eating the pie. Would I eat it the next day? I'd be dubious. Probably would, because I don't like waste. But would it taste nice? I don't think it would taste that good. There was hardly any cheese in there. And there was a lot of that glutinous gravy. And of course, gristle doesn't taste nice when it's cold. So I'm going to give him a 3 for that. I don't think it'd be that good, in all honesty. So what have we got left? Post-pie heartburn. Well, we've had 3 burps so far. The gristle isn't going to help. You know, fatty stuff. That usually gives you a bit of heartburn. It does me, at least. 6. I'm going to give him a 6. I think 6 is a fair score. Again, that might change over time. You know, as I'm working, I've got the cupboard doors to make today. It may well be that it slows me down. I'm not feeling too nice. I'm burping all the time. If I've got to reach for the Gaviscon, it's going to be a big fat 0. Right, so have we got all the scores in for now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's another burp. Okay, so it got less than that. It got 5 now. Bloody pie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 13 scores. That means the scoreboard is complete. Let's see what we got. And I am going to move the camera now. Here we go. Turn you around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Right, internet. Please continue. There we go. Look. Okay. We have got 15, 22, 28, 29, 37, 40, 41, 50, 55, 61, 66. That's crap. 66. We did say it wasn't a particularly good pie, didn't we? Right. So this one is from, what was it called, that place? I forget what it's called now. Hang on. Bear with me. Get my picture out again. Right. The Bakehouse Cafe, we'll call it. And that was in a place called Wairoa. How do we spell that? Here we are, look. And it was a steak and cheese. And it got a big fat 66. Clickety click. There we go. Okay. Right. Good luck with the internet. Maybe I'll just... No, we have to go and do it. It's all part of the pie review. Good luck, internet. Here we go. 66. Poor. Now, Mrs. Mechanic came in the workshop the other day, and she shuffled around all my scores, and said everything below 85 is on the left now. So, oh my God, 66 is a long way down, isn't it? Look at this. I'll stick it over there for now. That's pretty poor, actually. But it is a combination of factors. It's not just the taste of the pie, as we've discussed. Would I have another one? Definitely not. I think it's on the left-hand side of the cabinet. I wouldn't go there again. On the right, yeah, I think so. I think we'd have one of those. Right, let's see if we've got some more internet. Let's go back to the bench. Or has the internet eluded us again? I don't know. Turn you around. Boom. There we go. Right. It looks reasonably grainy. It doesn't like moving around, does it? really does not like moving around. Maybe it'll come back. I don't know. Now then, here we go. Let's just catch up again. Time for a cigarette. I need a cigarette after that. And man, I've got to clean this bench. Simon, it is the experience when buying food. You enjoy it a lot more when you have a positive experience. That's exactly right. The Jane Governor, the supermarket. Huh? The Giants. The picture is perfect. Good. Well, hopefully it's going to stay that way. It looks a little bit grainy at this end, but it might improve. George Bonnie 90. Would you buy that pie again? Well, I've already answered that, George. I don't think I would, to be honest. I'll now be able to drive past that bakery knowing full well that I don't need to stop for a pie. I normally get my pies in a place called Tiru. There's a BP there, Wild Bean Cafe, and that's normally where I get my coffees because they always do good coffee. Well, nearly always do good coffee. That particular petrol station does good coffee. Not all the BPs do. And the Wild Bean Cafe pies they're pretty standard, to be honest. You just know what you're going to get. They're pretty good for what they are, and they're readily available. So it's just where you go in it, you know. So that one I would not buy again. JJ Roger H pork pie. Simon Rule could just eat a pork pie now. New World, the supermarket here in one of the supermarkets here in New Zealand, do a pork pie, and they are very nice. JJ, can you do a pork pie review? I certainly can. I'll next time I get one, I'll try and link it into the live stream. But it's like trying to compare apples with pears, isn't it? A pork pie is a very different thing to the kind of meat pies that we're having now, and we normally cover. They're served cold traditionally, and they're an acquired taste. I don't think Kiwis really like pork pies very much. I like them every now and again, especially in the summertime. They're nice. It's an English thing, it is. John Nuttall, I'm surprised you've not reviewed 4 and 20 pies yet. I have only seen the adverts, never had a pie. No, actually haven't seen a 4 and 20 pie. We've done a lot of pies. We take a picture of that and try and remind myself to look out for those, or at least find out where they're from. Hang on, I'm running out of fingers. There we go. Simon, but a pork pie cannot be hot though. Correct, it has to be served cold. A pork pie is a really good way of bolstering up a salad, giving it some real meat content. That's usually my excuse. So what else have we got to show you? We've done the plasma cutter stuff. We've done very cool. I do like this. I almost don't want to give it over. Maybe I should make Alan a. I'm sure it'll fit my pillar drill. Maybe I'll just weld his old one up and give it to him, and I'll keep this. No, I can't do that. That would be bad. This was made for a mate, and it will go to him for sure. Every time he uses this pillar drill, he'd be like, "Wow, that's nice." He'll be adjusting the height, the deck height on the pillar drill, just for the sake of adjusting it. I'm sure he will. Simon, when Emma makes a pie, it has to be the best on the list, or you're a dead man. Well, we've talked about it quite a bit, especially over coffees after the live stream. She is a little bit concerned that, obviously I'm going to rate her pie. That sounded terrible. I'm going to rate her meat pie that she's going to make in the oven. Yes, it sounds slightly better. Oh man, the picture quality is atrocious now. Holy crap. Is that my receiving end? Come on, internet, you can do it. No, it's not, because the advert's good. God damn it. Hang on, I've got the drone advert. Go away, drones. That's slightly better. Not much. You guys are very tolerant for poor picture quality. I'll give you that. Thank you very much for that. So maybe that's why she's a little bit hesitant. I want to give her the best chance of doing a good pie. So I do need to get her a new oven. I really, really do. It's on the cards. It's going to happen, and I'll give her a push again today to choose one. But she needs to read reviews. She has to do a bit of research because an oven's something you buy that should last for many, 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 many years. And I want to get her a good one that she's proud of and wants to use, and produces cooking to the quality that meets her expectations. There you go. JJ, stay still, Andy. You're breaking up. Has that fixed it? Actually, it's not bad. That was a good trick. Maybe staying still for a couple of seconds allows the, I don't know, allows it all to catch up. Who knows? Coffee's well and truly cold now. This is one that I made ages ago. So what's on the cards for next week? Well, this afternoon, as soon as the live stream finishes, I'm doing woodwork. I'm going to be making those doors for the compressor cabinet. I might have to make some alterations on the right hand side of the cabinet. You might have seen in the picture or not, I might be in the way. There's a couple of horizontal support beams that I might have to trim down or possibly even move or come up with a different idea. Yeah, they're sort of in the way of where the doors need to go. Well, when we built that wall, I wasn't really that forward thinking, unfortunately. So modifications possibly required. Simon, maybe your phone. Can you lock the focus? Oh, I don't think it's the phone. And I don't think I can lock the focus either. And plus, to be fair, I'd forget to change it. No, I think it's definitely an internet issue, to be honest. Yeah, I think so. Bloody internet. It does my head in. It really does. So next week, I'm working from home for the whole of next week. That's the plan. To get caught up with admin work. I've got a lot of admin work that's been stacking up again. And then we've got next weekend. Not too sure. Basically, in a nutshell, just getting everything finished off or ready for me going away. The original plan was to have these plates, this next batch of 700 plates, ready for sandblasting. That isn't going to happen now. So Mrs. Mechanic was going to do a few while I was away. I was going to set up the sandblasting cabinet and all the air compressors on that side of the workshop, so she can get in through the side door, do some sandblasting, just do a little bit every day, maybe half a dozen plates a day, whatever. And then by the time I come back from the South Island, 3 weeks later, the majority of them are already done. That it's just not going to happen. It isn't. I'm not prepared to rush them. I want them to be of a high quality. And at this point in time, for the plasma cutter side of things, we don't have the power supply to the workshop to do that. And I don't really have the time to slit disc all of them out at the moment. I mean, sure, we could probably smash it out if we worked on the evenings and next weekend doing it. But it's not that high a priority at the moment. We've got the last batch out. It's nice to have a little bit of a breathing space and get some of the jobs done. So yeah, and I want to get some work done on Alan's bike. I want to get that stripped down, at least get an idea of what's failed in the gearbox stroke clutch area. And at least Alan can then order some parts, and then, further down the line, we can put the whole thing back together again. So yeah, pretty busy, but doing stuff that I want to do as opposed to what I have to get done. That can wait a little bit. We're way ahead. The plates are already drilled. They're already countersunk. They just need that bit notching out. Under normal circumstances, those plates wouldn't even be here yet. They'd still be at the laser cutting stage, and I wouldn't be picking them up till I get back from the South Island. So, we're way ahead of the game. So I'm not too concerned. So other than that, that's about it really. I'm going to spend most of my time glued in front of 3 computer screens, busy doing my admin work. Definitely tomorrow and Tuesday. Although I think Tuesday is the one day that it's not going to be raining. So I might be in the workshop on Tuesday. We'll see how things go. Not sure. Well, we are 1 hour and 35 minutes in on this live stream. We've done the plasma cutter review. I'll do another review once we've got a decent power supply, because it's a bit unfair at the moment. I think it's got the potential to be phenomenal. Very, very happy with that. Certainly a great purchase for the price. I did get it at a discounted price, which I'm fully aware of. It's got a really good LCD display on there as well, which is very easy to read and understand. The controls on it are dead simple because I can use them, obviously. So yeah, fingers crossed, it's going to be a great addition to the workshop. So that sort of brings us to the end of this live stream, and this will be the last time you ever see this, I think, unless we do a video of Malin's workshop, which we do need to do a review or a final sort of review of his CB750. It's still on the cards, it will happen, but I don't know when. Time, as always. Okay, crew, well, until next time, thank you very much for joining. Thanks for putting up with the sporadic periods of poor picture quality. Please, the audio kept going. That was the important thing. And I will see you again for the last time for a while in the workshop next Sunday. All right, crew, take care. Thanks for all your support and have a good week. Cheers. Over and out.